Hi everyone! Today we have a 2024 BMW X5. I'm currently in Florida for the first time and it's absolutely wonderful. It's a really nice state, and this is just a rental that my brother has gotten. Now I wanted to go ahead and review it because I've had one of these cars in Michigan. It was the all-wheel drive version. As you can see, this is the S, so it's rear-wheel drive, which is pretty cool. You don't get rear-wheel drive SUVs, or at least many of them, and up north. But this car, I driven it before as a loaner, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. And this video I wanted to go over why that is and the reasons for that. Hopefully the camera angle is fine when we're going for a drive. Hopefully you can see everything, but let's go ahead and look at the back seats. There's no second row keyless entry. Just the trim. As you can see, this has plastic fenders, things like that. So, you know, not the highest trim, but for the money, you know, kind of, let's see if this is great for what you get. I will say, looking at the interior and the material quality, this leather stitched steering wheel right here, even Mercedes GLS or GLE doesn't have that. There's like a plastic, scratchy plastic on their steering wheel, and this is kind of in a synthetic leather wrap with stitching, which is really nice. There's some soft touch plastic down here. Again, in a Mercedes GLS, it's a scratchy plastic, and this is, at least they did something to make it nice, and I'm sure as you go up with the trims, it's even nicer. I will say the doors, when they close, like even from the outside, it just has such a nice like thunk and sound. It's I guess well built, maybe. You know, it's a luxury German vehicle, so this Harman Kardon sound system is actually surprisingly really good. The Harman has stepped up their game. I haven't seen or remember Harman being good. They've always been decent, but this is actually really not a bad sound system. Another thing I want to point out is the steering wheel. It's this kind of, I don't even want, it's not leather, it's just a plastic, rubbery plastic feeling. It's feels a little cheap. It is what it is. Just something to point out. Feels, you know, not the best. Some piano black plastic over here. Some nice wood trim, which is absolutely wonderful. I mean, this wood, good for BMW for including this. It's really nice. Even along here on the passenger side. Yeah. And as far as the technology goes, it's complicated, but as far as like CarPlay and it connecting and working, they have it down so well. I mean, Lexus, for example, you turn on the car, it still has issues connecting to CarPlay. It's a mess. BMW has got it figured out. This is what the key fob is. BMW for lock. Trunk panic unlock. Just a plastic with aluminum. These seats are actually really comfortable. They have a nice diamond stitch pattern to them, and they're comfortable. I'm not gonna lie, they did good with the seats. It even has like a nice luxurious look. It's not like a skinny seat or anything like that. It looks proper. I actually don't mind the door handles. It's physical, it's real. You pop it out and it's pretty straightforward. The design is okay. I kind of wish it was normal. You could just grab it from here. You kind of gotta put your fingers through there and do that, which is okay, but it's better than digital door handles. So I gotta unlock it. Taking a look at the second row, it's classic X5, really high ceiling, and just enough room in the back to be comfortable. I've always found the X5 is a little, I don't even know what the word is, but it's kind of boxy back here. It feels like a box. You know, you got a higher ceiling, and the legroom is not bad. It's not the best, probably in the segment, I can imagine, but it's decent for what it is. It's pretty good. It's enough room. You have heated seats back here, 3-stage auto, AC controls, which is great in this class of vehicle this size. For a 2-row, it has all your AC controls in the back, even for, you know, a lower end trim X5. Over here we have our mid-bass speaker, I believe that is. Then we have a tweeter right here. I'm gonna count the number of speakers in this car. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Another mid-bass, 5, 6 tweeter. 7, 8, and then probably some ceiling ones, 9, 10. 10 speakers. Looking in the back. Oh, I'm trying to see if there's any more speakers. I counted 10. It's probably a 15 speaker sound system, I imagine. BMW looks to go a little crazy with the number of speakers. Looking at the back here, a nice diamond stitch pattern as well. Pop out cup holders. It works. Storage underneath. You have your children tethered straps. Yeah, I'm really liking the diamond stitch leather pattern. It's nice. It's a nice look. Even in the second row, there's this nice wood trim that's in the first row, and then you have this ambient lighting right here. It's nice. It's not you can't complain. The glass is just kind of one thick piece. It's not double paned or anything, which I'm sure that's just BMW's way of making quiet glass. Or possibly that's an option. Rear windshield wiper. I know with the X6 you lose the rear headroom, but you don't really need it. It's still quite a lot of room. And the X6 I prefer the looks of. I know people like the traditional SUV look, but that sloping roofline, that fastback look with no wiper, I think it looks better. Me personally. Bridgestone, let's see what size these are. 275, 45 R20s, 20-inch wheels. Yeah, they got a lot of sidewall on them, which is good for bad road. But here in Florida, roads are much better than Michigan, that's for sure. You got one tire air cap missing. That's just common with cars. Make sure to get tire caps. And you got camera here. You got the side step, which I'm not a big fan of. Every time you hop in the vehicle, it's not very big or tall for you to really need it. It just ends up getting the side of your legs dirty, which will get your pants dirty, and it's kind of just silly. It doesn't really add to the looks of the car, in my opinion. Even Mercedes has these side steps. For this classic car, you just don't need it. It's just for random, I don't know, just for to have it for some people. Looking at these headlights, very nice. They're nicely designed. LEDs. Looking at the fuel cap, 91, 89 minimum. I really like that it says 89 minimum. If we look at the engine, and this is not a capless fuel filler, and people always complain, oh, well, why isn't this car capless? A lot of cars are. No, a lot of cars are not capless. A lot of cars still have the cap. A lot of them. So, a lot of us, German cars especially. But it's nice to have capless. I agree, capless is so nice, because you just push in. Even the Toyotas, you have to go inside and push the fuel button. It's not opening now. Yeah, there you go. You have to push the fuel button, and then, then you can go fill the gas, and this you can just push on it once unlocked, which is quicker. Here it's 77, in Michigan it's 45. So if you're gonna have a winter home here in Florida, you probably will want to go back to Michigan in May, because even in April it's still a little chilly. It says 45, but it feels like 35 in Michigan on the weather app. See, with BMWs there's no latch. You have to do it twice to open the hood. See, 2 times. Now it's open. Let's take a look at this turbocharged inline 6. That is the B58 engine that a lot of people love in BMW. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't think it's that great. Maybe at least it's not great in this configuration. It should be great in theory. It's a turbocharged inline 6. It makes a lot of power on paper. A fast 0 to 60 for what this is, the weight, and being an SUV in its class, 2-row. Similar engine somewhat in the M3 as the M380i. Some plastic, but you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inline 6 all in a row, not in a V pattern. Decent looking engine bay for what this is. Yeah, I really like the strut braces are funny. There's just a lot of them, and you wouldn't expect to see it in a car like this, and they try to make this a little bit, I guess, fun to drive, even though it's just okay to drive. I wouldn't say fun. This is built in BMW's American factory in Spartanburg, South Carolina, as well as you know, the X6 competitions, the M's. Pretty big brakes. I was driving it and the brake pedal feel is not even the brake pedal feel, just the brake responsiveness is really good, as far as it gives you some confidence, and that's always nice to have in something this size. These are an all-season tire, even though it says sport on the wheel. They're, yeah, an all-season. Alrighty, obviously you can get an option out with a blacked out grille and all these things. So let's go ahead and take this thing for a spin, and I'll tell you why I think it's not necessarily worth the money. And as you can see, this is an S drive for rear-wheel drive. X drive would be for all-wheel drive, and that's, here it is. And like I said, the paint quality is really nice. It has a nice sparkle to it in the sun, and they, you know, the Germans, they know how to make a paint job, so, as well as the Japanese. Let's go ahead and take a look at the trunk. Nice thing about the X5, the split folding tailgate. You can have a picnic, kind of, or just when you want to just enjoy something, a view. You just sit on the tailgate and it's a nice chair, almost. Yeah. And then, even if you're loading something, it makes it easier as well. Lots of storage in the back, that's always nice. Good for groceries and everything. No spare tire, which is weird because it looks like there's a spot for a spare tire. I guess somebody stole it or something, or took it out. I think this isn't the battery, but it's not the battery, is it? No, okay, I don't know what that was. I sometimes put the batteries in the back of the cars. Just checking it out. All right. The second row does fold manually, and it's this way. Yep, like that. It's from here. Okay. I like the rear taillight designs. It's like a physical, nice look. This is not closed all the way, I'm pretty sure. So we gotta open it again and close it. All right. There we go. It should be closed all the way. I think the grill has gotten a little bigger. I'm not sure. This is, I don't have the sticker for this car. Let me check in the glove box. I'm not finding a sticker for this vehicle, unfortunately. I wish I had it. I can tell you everything as far as the options and all of that. Let's go ahead and take this for a spin. Wireless phone charger right here. Okay, wallet. 2 cup holders, 12-volt outlet for your race detectors. I mean, sorry, your speed detectors. You have nice storage for coins and things like that. Anything you want to put in there, that's always good. No sunglass holder, but you could just pop them in here, I believe. Well, this is not working. This is not opening. There we go. Yeah, I'll hold it. Decent storage. Not the biggest, but you know, it works. Not bad. USB-C down there. USB-A. And let's go ahead and start the vehicle. This does have a mild hybrid system. At least it should. These always have mild hybrid systems for the torque fill. As you see, CarPlay connected immediately. There's no issue whatsoever. It's on the screen. I absolutely love it. A lot of cars need to start implementing that, and being, you know, if you're not going to be the best technology, at least just have those things down so people aren't angry and annoyed. This is the gear selector. You know, it's just a little tab. It's whatever, you get used to it. Not a real shifter, but it is what it is. So you get a reverse camera, really nice and high quality, and 360 cam as well, which is good to see. I wonder if that's an option or standard, the 360 cam. Something to look into on their brochure. So check your spots. We're good to go. auto hold is on. Every time you put auto hold on and you restart the car, you start it again, it's always will stay on, which is nice. You don't have to keep pushing the button over again. It's a little speed bump. Now, I will say, I have more reviews of other cars coming soon, like an X6M Competition with the twin turbo V8, Porsche Cayenne with the V6 turbocharged, and I will say this car, driving at low speeds just around town, it's really quiet. It's very it has a luxury feel. You know, if somebody's coming from a Toyota or a Honda, they're gonna know, hey, this is something that's very calming and nice to drive. The inline 6 is smooth and quiet, and I'll give it that. And there's some positives to this car. There's a lot of positives, but to me there's more negatives about this vehicle than positives. So you know, driving it down the road, as far as the road manners and how it, you know, floats along, it's really good. It's not the best. I have driven a Porsche Cayenne at 24 Cayenne, and that car is a notch above this as far as how it rides on the road and handles. Even this car, it handles in a weird way as far as it drives. You know, when you go into a corner, you could automatically tell, because it's a rear-wheel drive architecture. You know, there's not a big rear-wheel drive hump for the drive shaft here, or I guess, would it be a drive shaft because it's not all-wheel drive? Anyways, there isn't a hump because it's not all-wheel drive. If it was rear-wheel drive, I believe this hump is going to be bigger. But you know, being rear-wheel drive, going into a corner, or a curvy road, it feels very more natural than a Lexus RX 500 or maybe even an Acura MDX Type S. It feels really, these are all in a similar price bracket. They're all competing with each other. So, you know, it's not a terrible car to drive. It's nice, but my issues with it is that this inline 6, it might be decently fuel efficient, I'll give it that, over like a naturally aspirated V6, and it's turbocharged, right? But even if I slam it down on the gas, if it looks really quick, right? But if you drive an RX 500, and I've never gotten behind the wheel of an MDX Type S, I wanted to. I sat in the interior of one, I've never driven one, but the RX 500, you know, it's the way that car is set up with its hybrid motors, one electric motor in the front, one in the rear. It's very, I guess the torque comes on earlier and you feel it a lot more. And the RX 500 it's a similar size interior as this, maybe not with a higher roofline and those things, but you know, 70%, it's the same as this car on the inside. They're both two-row SUVs, and the way that car accelerates and goes, it's more exciting and exhilarating than this car. This car feels a lot more heavier, and it feels like this is, you know, they have to make this car so many things. They have to make it, you know, a track car supposedly with the X5M Competition, and they have to make it, you know, just a normal smooth riding twin turbo V8 with the M60i. But the RX 500, that car does have a front-wheel drive architecture, but with the electric motor in the back, it can be more kind of rear-wheel drive and not feel as front-wheel drive, because it has that electric motor in the rear. And you know, the old RX 350, that felt really front-wheel drive with the V6 and everything. That car, it doesn't feel like that as much. Obviously with these, you know, German cars, they have a 50-50 split. You can send the power to the rear, or even 70 to the rear, 30 to the front. Japanese cars, they're not always split the power between the wheels. It's always, to save fuel efficiency, it's always at the front most of the time. So, which is unfortunate. You don't get the full all-wheel drive experience and it putting down the power really well, and more handling confidence of it being all-wheel drive. But it is what it is. It's not, you know, a crazy deal breaker. The Japanese do that. They have a front-wheel drive most of the time because of fuel efficiency and things like that. You know, and the RX 500, it doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels more sporty and fun, and the acceleration is really good. I mean, how many times are you gonna take your tour SUV on a curvy road? You know, most of the time you're just gonna be going flat out, or if there's a little bit of curves, yeah, you want it to hand decently well, and I think the RX 500 does handle decently well. Trust me, I'm all for German luxury cars. They're wonderful, but they're, you know, they are sometimes, when they have a car that's competing with the Japanese, Sometimes the Japanese do it better. They really do. And if this was an M60i with twin turbo V8, maybe some of the problems it'll be fixed as far as how big it feels to drive around, because the powertrain, you know, is a lot more powerful, and I'm not sure if it would be fixed, but it could be. People are going to say this car doesn't have rear wheel steer, that's why it makes it feel bigger driving it down the road. That's not entirely true, I think, because even with rear wheel steer, I still think it's going to feel big to drive, and it's just how the architecture of the car and its platform is laid out. My issue number one with this car is it feels too big to drive for what this is. I'm not sure what it is, but this car feels, there's an X7 with the same engine, even bigger vehicle. This car feels too big just even around town. Not even that only, but when you're going against curvy roads and making turns in the vehicle, it feels not nimble at all. And it isn't because it doesn't have rear wheel steer, which you cannot option on the X5 with this powertrain, only the V8. Even if this car had rear wheel steer, I still think the way this platform is laid out and them pairing it with this powertrain, I just think it's just, you know, they have to do a lot for it not to feel as big to drive on turns and curvy roads. There's a McLaren over there, really cool. The RX 500, you know, it feels like a smaller car to drive. On turns it feels very comfortable, and this car, even the acceleration, if you drive an RX 500 and this car back to back, you'll think the RX 500 is more fun going in a straight line. I really think it, because the torque comes on so much earlier on that car. It's working with a turbo inline 4 and 2 electric motors, and I really think that how that car is set up, it's more fun to drive and enjoyable. And this car, it does a lot of things better than the RX 500. It really does, but I don't think it's enough for me to choose this over that, especially you're paying a little bit more for this over that car. Actually, I don't think it's a little bit more. I think it's actually like a 6 grand, 7 grand difference, which if you're shopping for a 70K car, maybe you could bite that difference. I will say, you know, all the climate controls are essentially digital. You have for the windshield max and rear, which you'll probably won't use unless it's fog, that are physical, but I don't like digital AC controls. I actually wish all AC controls were like here, so they're easy to reach. It's whatever, it's still reachable, still totally fine. I will say this Harman Kardon sound system is very nice. It's really, it sounds more in your face and loud than a Mark Levinson and an RX 500. I will say that. They're difficult to compare the two audio systems, because this is just getting into BMW's audio system. You know, they have the Bowers and Wickens as well, which in the X6 I wasn't the biggest fan of. It's not the most impressive I've ever heard, but it's really good for what it is. And, you know, comparing it to the Mark Levinson and the RX 500, that system does a lot of things good, but I think this one, it has a nice clear just sound coming from the front of you. You can really just go out and reach and grab the lyrics. That's what I like from an audio system, where it just feels clear and in your face and loud throughout the whole cabin. And also clear, you want clarity as well. That's also very nice to have. And for the money, I think this is not terrible. Maybe I could be mistaken, you know, I haven't lived with it for a long time. I mean, this is $70,000. I guess there could be some improvements to the audio system, but for what it is, I don't think people are going to necessarily be disappointed. It's pretty good for this. So I'm sorry if I don't get all my thoughts out. My GoPro is overheating, not ideal conditions. The camera's getting hot, and it's also a little bit hot outside. The sun coming through. Holy my gosh, I think it's an F8 Tributo Ferrari. That's awesome. Wow. Oh, we shouldn't get in. Yeah, it's over there in the gas station. Anyways, this car, comparing to the Cayenne, it's not as smooth riding and good in my opinion. It's not there with the Cayenne. But I want to compare this car to the Audi Q8 from the Volkswagen Group. The Audi Q8 is more quieter on the inside. It has such a low noise floor, and you know, it's just more quiet. You could whisper in that car and you could still hear somebody. This is also decently quiet, but it's not the Audi Q8. The Porsche Cayenne is also really quiet, just like the Q8. Again, this car isn't as quiet as the Cayenne. Besides that small thing, right? And then, like, this car is definitely quiet. It's just those cars are a notch above. The Cayenne, it drives more I can't, it floats better along the road. It has a better ride to that vehicle. It's just when you get into the car, you get wowed by how smooth and nice that car drives. They really have the suspension technology figured out. It's wonderful, the Cayenne, and it is above this one as far as how it rides. But not to say this car doesn't ride bad at all. This is a very close competitor to the Cayenne, and for the money, it is cheaper. You're saving about, I believe, 5 to 10K over a Cayenne. Starting price in this, I was in the 70s, and for the Cayenne, it's like the high 80s. I believe that's where the prices land for these vehicles, right around there. Again, X7, same engine. That is the xDrive 40i, same engine, even bigger vehicle, and it probably even feels, you know, that's a third row. That's a different conversation. Those cars always feel big to drive. Besides the MDX, I drove an MDX and didn't feel like a third row. It felt really good.